Welcome back to another episode of Flawless Plan Garage, where today we are working on, once again, my 1994 Buick Roadmaster station wagon, into which I am attempting to put an LB7 6.6 liter Duramax turbo diesel V8 and the associated Allison transmission. As we learned in the last video, they don't fit, like not very well. So today what we're going to attempt to do is build engine mounts, and I think what I'm going to do is try to reuse the mounts from the truck. The original mounts are welded into the chassis of the GM truck, and I cut them out of the chassis before I scrapped it. So we're going to attempt to reuse those and find a way to shove them into the B-body chassis here today. How are we going to do that? Well, today's video is sponsored by stubbornness. Stubbornness is a required character trait if you're going to do stupid stuff like this on old cars, and hopefully it's going to work out. Stay tuned.
Your density. Okay, sorry, but it's time to weld. Up here we have a chunk of I-beam that I had laying around, because what I'm going to do is chop out a significant portion of that cross member in order to make room for the motor mounts. So to kind of brace the chassis and keep the dimensions from changing, I'm going to weld in this nice little chunk of I-beam between the front rails, just as a way to keep everything in the place where I want it. Okay, you can see here, this is going to be a little challenging. So I'm trying to reuse some semblance of the mounts from the truck. And the real challenge that I have is right down inside there, we've got the inner control arm, essentially, for the B-body suspension. And you can see here, like, there's the mount where that inner control arm mounts. So I've got a limited amount of real estate for the engine mount. You can see here I kind of freehand cut the frame away here. Looks like I need another inch or so on that side, but then I'm going to run out of space down inside the control arm shape too. Let's take a look at the other side. If I can get over there. It's kind of hard to see. This side might actually be even worse. Partly because the truck frame is just a little bit wider. And so this bracket, you can see it's going to end up kind of at this angle. And at this angle, it's just way too big in this direction. So I'm going to have to section this mount, probably cut it here, and then section this part so it can be rotated a bit and closer. So then I can take this mount and get it squeezed in here. That also means this mount is probably going to have to be sectioned a bit as well, so I can narrow the whole thing so it'll fit in that little gap in the frame rail. Lots of cutting. Okay, so the original truck frame rails are 31.5 or 31 inches. There's a little bit of change between the two. I don't know if you can read that, but that is 27. It's not a totally flat surface. It's about 27.25. I don't know how good you guys are at math. 27.25 is less than 31. Like maybe quite a bit less. Okay, to the extent that any of this stuff can be considered thoughts or planning, walk with me as we think about this. So if I've got that head mounted on there, am I going to have room for exhaust to route? So my current thinking is that I'm going to bring the manifolds forward so I can put the turbos up here somewhere. I'm going to go with smaller twins. But then I'll have to get the exhaust back out somehow. That I really have no idea how that's going to work. So if the turbo's down low, there's no way that exhaust is going to fit through. Like there's no way the dump pipe out of the back of the turbo is going to fit through this section. Like this is where the manifold's going to be. It's not going to go here. It's not going to go here through the engine mount. It's not going to go underneath the frame. That frame is going to be down pretty low, and I've got the control arms and stuff to worry about because they come inboard far enough. Very bit of lighting. You just can't really see that. There you go. There's the inner control arm mount and the control arm. Those B-body control arms come in pretty far. So exhaust routing is going to be a real challenge, and I really don't want to do a, YouTube hot rod special where it just dumps the exhaust out the front fender or something. This is supposed to be a sleeper. It's supposed to be a road trip car. It needs to be quiet, so I've got to route the exhaust somehow, but I don't know how. Food for thought. Need to make some tea. Little pro tip: always keep as many flammable materials close to the area where you're going to be plasma cutting as possible. To answer your question, no, the flowers do not help. Why even draw a line if you're just going to freehand it and make a giant mess out of it? I don't know either. Okay, so my main excuse is that I loaned out my angle grinder, and that's why I have to use the plasma cutter on this thing, which frankly would be better to just cut with the angle grinder. Really, like if you had a plasma cutter, wouldn't you just use it on everything? We're moving up in the world. Instead of being look like it was cut by a kindergartner, this one looks like it was cut by a first grader. Yeah, that's not how you're supposed to clamp things. I kind of forgot about that. Just being on the bench vise. Sorry. aiming for something like that. I'm just going to move it from here to here, and then we'll cut from there after things are tacked back together. I'm going to have to clean up this edge a little bit more though, make this thing fit better.
All right, so after several hours of cutting and tacking and fitting and staring at it and then staring at it some more, I've come to some conclusions. I don't like how this fits. I don't like how it fits at all. I don't really have enough room, even with this cut down and sectioned on these truck mounts, to make the thing fit properly. I can't really get it attached the way I want to the sides of the original frame because they're not flat. They have a shape to them, which is adding a lot of complexity to this. I also can't get them down far enough because of the suspension mounts that come in underneath the cross member. And I can't just keep cutting. I've got to attach those lower control arms and stuff somehow if I'm using that B-body front suspension. So I'm just not happy with it. I don't like how it fits, and I don't like where it's going. I don't think I'm going to have the height or the width that I want to have attempting to use this method of mounting the engine. And I really have gotten stubborn about other options like lifting the body. I do not want to lift the body at all on the chassis. I really want this thing to look as stock as I can possibly make it look from the outside when it comes to the ride height, the height of the body against the chassis and that sort of thing. So I'm not going to do a body lift if I can possibly avoid it. And in addition to the mounts not fitting very well, the steering doesn't really work. I don't really have room for the cross shaft on the steering underneath the oil pan of the motor if I push the motor down any further. So, in summary, it doesn't fit. I'm not happy with the truck mounts. And so this stuff is going in the scrap bin. And we're going a different direction. Now, I hope that you don't feel your time has been wasted in this video. But if you do, imagine how I feel doing the work and then making it. But in general, I hope you understand that what I'm trying to do here is bring you along the journey with me. So you can see all of my bad decisions and maybe learn something from them, maybe not. Maybe just learn that, this is the way these projects tend to kind of go. You make bad decisions and you keep figuring out one thing at a time, even if you have to redo stuff along the way until hopefully it achieves the right thing in the end. But if that's one thing I've learned here so far in this one, it's that I'm not going to be happy with the way this thing looks and drives and functions with the B-body front suspension the way it is. It's just, every car is a series of compromises, but I'm not happy with the compromises that I have to make to do this. So I need a different approach. And I think I have one. That's right, we're going to prove once again, for the avoidance of any doubt, that no project is so far gone that it cannot be made worse by throwing more time, more complexity, and more money at it. Thanks for watching. See you next time.